Are you tired of paying your rent every month? Well, too bad, because you still have to pay it. However, what if I told you that you could get rewarded for paying your rent every month? That's where the Bilt Rewards Mastercard comes in, and that's what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. But first of all, welcome again to Andy's Credit Corner. Thanks for tuning in today. This is a channel that talks about credit cards, collecting points and miles for travel, and some other travel and financial topics. So the Bilt Mastercard has been around for a couple of years now. I think they first launched in 2021. It was just last year in 2022 when they became available for people to apply to rather than be invite only like they initially were. And so this is the only credit card on the market that allows you to pay your rent with the transaction fee waived. Typically, landlords will charge you like a 3% service charge or whatever when you swipe your credit card to pay your rent. But Bilt actually absorbs that fee. So you're actually just paying your rent at face value. And it's the only card on the market, again, that does this to this point. So this is a great option for many renters. If you want to travel, if you're a renter and you want to start traveling, maybe this is your first travel-focused card. It has no annual fee, unlike a lot of its competitors, and so I'll get into more details of the earning structure of this card and all of the features and benefits. So this card is issued by Wells Fargo, and before you all tune out of this video, just be aware that other banks have had similar issues to Wells Fargo, such as Bank of America just recently. So with that said, that's who issues the card. And even aside from that, there are certain corporate real estate companies that actually partner with Bilt to where you don't actually need to get this card. You could just enroll with Bilt if you live at one of these major commercial real estate properties. I think they're mainly based in big cities like New York and Los Angeles, so many apartment complexes probably aren't on the list, but you'll want to check Bilt's website anyway, just in case, and maybe talk to your apartment manager if their company is part of the network. I asked mine a year ago before I got this card, and she didn't really seem to know what I was talking about, so I figured that the company that owns my building probably is not in network, so that's why I went and got this card. So as I touched on earlier, this card earns points to be used for travel and some other redemption options. And it earns points, at least 1 point for every dollar spent. So for example, it earns $1 for each dollar that you spend on your rent, again with the fee waived. And you could also earn points for other transactions, for other expenses, such as 3 times points on dining, 2 times points on travel, and 1 times points on everything else. And this card does have an unusual requirement to keep all of your points every month, and that is to swipe the card for 5 different transactions per statement cycle. So it's not like you could just put your rent on it on an automatic basis and then just throw the card in your sock drawer for the rest of the month. They actually want you to actually use the card, so that's why they put that requirement in place. If you fail to hit the 5 transaction minimum, then you'll only have 250 points per month. So you could just put it on a few simple purchases each month. It could be something automated, or it could be, you could even use it as your dining card because of the fact that it does give you a good multiplier for dining. There is one other cool feature that Bilt has, and that's called Rent Day, which is the first of every month. What they do is they give you 2 times the normal points that you would get on all purchases made on the first of the month outside of rent. So if you have some expenses that you have to make, some purchases that you have to make, but you could kind of wait a little bit in order to make the transaction, you might want to time it to where you're paying for that stuff on the first day of the month so that you get double points for it. So I sometimes will use that strategy for certain things. So it's a nice little feature. And recently, Bilt just added another feature called Bilt Dining. It's a collection of restaurants in certain major cities. It's like Chicago and New York and a few other large cities that are partnered with Bilt to where you could earn 5 times points at those specific restaurants. So that's another interesting little feature. It's only a handful of restaurants and a handful of cities. They're not yet in my area, but I'll keep an eye on it and see if it expands some more. And another cool benefit, there is no annual fee on this card, as well as no foreign transaction fees. So if you travel overseas, you use this card overseas, you're not going to get that 3% foreign transaction fee. There are also certain membership tiers that Bilt has based on the amount of points that you earn in a given year. So the status tiers are blue, silver, gold, and platinum. So if you earn less than 25,000 points per year, then you'll be in the blue tier, just their basic tier with all of the benefits that I just talked about. If you earn 25,000 points in a year, you will get a few additional features that you see there on your screen, including interest earned on the points that you have. And then if you live at one of those properties that are in network that I mentioned earlier in the video, then you get a 10% bonus on lease incentive points, as it says there. And then if you earn 50,000 points in a year, you get gold status tier, which again, slightly better benefits, as you can see there on the screen, including a homeownership concierge, which I'm not sure what exactly is part of the details on that. And then if you get 100,000 points in a year, you get the platinum status tier. So you get an exclusive gift from the Bilt collection, along with the other features and benefits that you see there. So certainly if this is your only credit card, you could really rack up the points in a given year. If you're the type of person that likes to optimize your credit card spending and juggle credit cards around, then it might be more difficult to achieve these status tiers. I personally am somebody who juggles different cards, so I don't really think much about this whole status program. For me, the only real benefit that I would get is a little bit of interest, but that might not be much considering the fact that points can devalue over time. Different points programs of hotels and airlines and such may devalue their points. So for me, I personally don't really see the value on it, but your mileage may vary. However, there was one interesting development very recently, and it's for a promotion that's going to take place on only one day on August 1st. So I'm not sure when this video will be posted, but on August 1st, there will be a promotion to transfer points to Virgin Atlantic. You get a certain percentage of bonus points based on what status tier you are. So they are starting to sort of sweeten this whole status system. So it'll be interesting to see if they continue this type of thing going forward. They have had other rent day rewards, other types of promotions like that for other airlines and hotels in past months, but they did not have a tiered bonus system. It was like maybe 100% across the board for one day, or maybe 50% for one day. So it'll be interesting to see what they do going forward if these promotions will be tiered like that. So in case you're wondering about what the sign-up bonus is for the Bilt Rewards card, well, there isn't really much of one, at least not that they advertise. For me personally, I got a very limited sign-up bonus. When I first signed up for the card, I automatically got 1,000 points deposited into my Bilt account. And then when I first activated my card, when I first received it, I got an email stating that I would earn 10 times points for the first 5 days of my card ownership, not including rent purchases. So it was a nice little bonus right out of the gate there, but it doesn't compare to some of the other major credit cards out there, like, for example, the Chase Sapphire Preferred or the Capital One Venture X or the American Express Gold or Platinum cards, where those cards will routinely give you like 60,000 points or 80,000 points or maybe 100,000 points over the first few months if you spend a certain amount of money. But then again, those cards usually will have annual fees. The Bilt Rewards card does not have an annual fee, so that's kind of the trade-off there. There is still a lot of value with the Bilt card because of the fact that you would still be getting a whole bunch of points just off of your rent every single month. So in a way, it's the gift that keeps on giving. So here's what the card looks like. I have it right here in my hand. It's a pretty cool card here. It's metal here, so it makes a cool sound when you drop it. So that's something that a lot of people find cool, although that should not be the reason why you get this card or any other card because of the way that it looks or the way that it sounds. So please keep that in mind, but it's still a cool looking card with cool benefits as well. One minor annoyance is that it doesn't have that little wave symbol on it, so you can't tap your card when you pay. You have to either dip it or swipe it, but overall that's a minor thing. And of course that shouldn't get in the way of you tapping that subscribe button and that like button for more updates as I post more videos, so be sure you do that. This card also is considered to be a World Elite Mastercard, so it comes with a whole bunch of benefits like trip delay reimbursement and rental card insurance and cell phone protection and things like that. You also get a complimentary DoorDash Dash Pass subscription for the first 3 months. Also a free membership with ShopRunner that runs until March 31st of 2024. You're also eligible to receive Lyft credits when using this card to pay for Lyft and linking it to your account. You receive $5 for every 3 rides in a calendar month, so if you ride Lyft a lot, then this could be useful to you. So now let's talk about how you could redeem your Bilt points. So there are actually a whole bunch of options on here besides just travel that you could redeem your Bilt points for. For one thing, you could redeem them towards future rent payments, although you're not going to get a good value out of it because your points in this case are only going to be worth 0.55 cents per point when you put them towards rent purchases. So unless you get into a situation where you're desperate for money, then this might not be the best option for you. One other way that you could redeem these points is to redeem them for a down payment on a home. Maybe you want to buy a home at some point. You could use your points toward the down payment and you could actually get solid value out of that. You could get 1.5 cents per point. So that's something to keep in mind if you're ready to transition to home ownership. Another way to redeem your Bilt points is to redeem them through fitness classes. Bilt has a partnership between a few different fitness studios out there. The partners are SoulCycle, Solid Core, Y7, and Rumble Boxing. So if you have any of those studios in your area and you work out at those places, or if you're interested in joining them, you could actually use your Bilt points to pay for classes at those studios. And it's usually around 1 cent per point there, so that's a fair value, although you could do better with some of the other options that I have that I'm about to talk to you about next. You could also link your Amazon account to your Bilt account and transfer your points to Amazon to pay for your Amazon purchases, but I would not recommend doing this because you only get 0.7 cents per point when you use them for Amazon purchases. Now we get to the good stuff. The best redemptions typically are to be used when booking for travel purchases, whether that's using them in Bilt's own travel portal or whether that's transferring out to different airlines or hotel partners that Bilt has partnerships with. So Bilt actually has a pretty solid list of transfer partners, which rivals its competitors very much. Hyatt in particular is a great transfer partner with the amount of cents per point that you could typically get there. They also have a couple of domestic airline partners, so United and then American Airlines, which, fun fact, Bilt is the only card on the market that has a partnership with American where you could transfer your points to American. So that's pretty unique about this card. And then there's a whole assortment of other international airlines that you could transfer to as well. There's also IHG hotels, although that typically is not a great value for transferring, but again, your mileage will vary. And as I mentioned just earlier, Bilt has its own travel portal that I just spoke of. They just created that not too long ago. You could redeem your points in the portal there for 1.25 cents per point. So that is a pretty solid value, although you might be able to find better value by transferring it to the partners that I just mentioned. Also, you could pay with cash to book something through their portal and get 2 cents per point doing so because of the fact that it gets 2x points on travel, as I mentioned earlier. And sometimes they might be running discounts on certain flights or hotels, so you might want to take a look through their portal and be sure to compare their points to what you would get on the hotel websites themselves so that you get the best value. Now let's talk about ways that you could use your Bilt Rewards card in conjunction with other credit cards that you have. And I could speak from my own experience here because as somebody that optimizes different credit cards for different expenses every month, I have the Bilt card, and then I also have what's called the Chase Trifecta, which is the Chase Freedom Unlimited, Chase Freedom Flex, and the Chase Sapphire Preferred. And so I earn a lot of Chase Ultimate Rewards points as well as my Bilt points every month. And I mostly will use my Chase card setup, but I will use my Bilt card for the 5 transactions that it requires every month. So I will use it for obviously my rent, but then I mostly use my Bilt card as my dining card because of the fact that I typically will dine out maybe on average 1 time a week. And because they require 5 transactions, that's, there are 4 or 5 weeks in a month. So that should get me my required transactions by pretty much just using it on dining, and also occasionally on rent day if I have an expense to make on that day as well. So that would be useful as well toward that transaction quota. The Bilt card could go very well with Chase because of the fact that the Chase Sapphire Preferred is actually structured pretty similarly to the Bilt card in that it also earns 3 points on dining, and Chase has pretty similar transfer partners such as Hyatt and United, for example. So you could use your points in conjunction with each other from Chase and Bilt to transfer them both to Hyatt or United or one of these other partners in many cases. So that's really useful. Other cards that could be useful to be used in conjunction with the Bilt card would be the Capital One Venture and Venture X cards, because of the fact that those cards typically will earn 2 times points across the board in all categories outside of the Capital One travel portal. So because of the fact that the Bilt card gets 3 times on dining versus the typical 2 times points that you get with Capital One, again, Bilt card could slide right in as your dining card with that card setup as well. And again, a number of common transfer partners between the 2 systems too. Otherwise, the Bilt card could be a good standalone card for you if maybe you're the type of person that wants to just commit to 1 card. This could be a solid option considering the fact that it has no annual fee, and it could get you good value for the points if you know how to use them, and of course if you're a renter. So if you're a renter, if you want to travel, this could be a good option for you. If you own your own home, then maybe this might not be the most appealing card because of the fact that you might not get the full benefits out of it without paying a rent on it. However, with that said, I have heard reports out there that you could use your Bilt card to pay your homeowners association fees. I have heard reports on that, so that might be something worth looking into. You might want to read up on blogs and such to get other people's accounts on that. But even so, this card is more geared toward renters to begin with. If you're somebody that likes to get cash back off of your credit cards, then the Bilt card might not be the best option for you because there's no real cash back option to it. Probably the closest thing to it would be to redeem it toward a rent purchase, for which again is only 0.55 cents per point, and it's a pretty poor value. You might do better with a more cashback oriented card out there. Also, if maybe you're targeting cards that have bigger sign-up bonuses than what the Bilt card offers, then you may want to look into those other cards instead, because of the fact that it might take you a while using your Bilt card to earn the same amount of points that you would get on one of the annual fee travel cards out there. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So that's pretty much the Bilt Rewards card in a nutshell. So what are your thoughts on this card? Do you have this card? Are you thinking of getting this card? Let me know down in the comments down below. Again, feel free to like and subscribe to this video for more updates as I post some more content. And please always use credit cards responsibly, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.